You ever wonder why a certain song lyric just gets stuck in your head on repeat? Or why one line from a poem can hit you so hard? Well, it's not magic, it's mechanics. And today we're going to pop the hood and look at the secret tools of language that writers use to make that feeling happen. Let's get into it.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Why do some phrases feel like music, they're so memorable, while other words just kind of sit there on the page? What gives language its power? Well, the answer is inside a set of tools that people have been using for centuries.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. Imagine we're cracking open a poet's secret toolkit. We're going to look at each device, one by one, and figure out how they build rhythm, paint pictures, and give words whole new layers of meaning. All right, let's get our hands dirty. Our tour of this incredible toolkit starts right now. First stop, the section that's all about sound, the tools that give words their music. So the very first tools we're pulling out of the kit are the ones that work directly on your ears. These are the things that create the rhythm, the flow, and that melody that makes poetry and song lyrics so dang catchy. And first up is the one you probably know best. Rhyme, of course. It's the classic for a reason. Just like the slide says, it's all about repeating a sound. You know, our brains are basically pattern-seeking machines, and a good rhyme creates this really satisfying pattern that makes language feel complete and, well, musical. And it can be super simple, right? Think of pairs like tower and power, or king and sing. That sound at the end, it just clicks. It creates a connection in your mind, and it's one of the most fundamental ways to make a language stick. Next up, we've got alliteration, which is kind of like rhyme's cool cousin. Instead of matching the sounds at the end of words, alliteration gets its rhythm by matching the sounds at the very beginning of them. What's so great about this is you can actually feel the effect when you say them out loud. Go on. Wild wind, curious clock, creepy crawlies. That repeated sound makes the phrase bouncy and memorable. It's subtle, but it's super powerful. Okay, this next tool is probably the most direct one we have. Repetition. I mean, sometimes the best way to make a point is to just make it again. It's perfect for creating emphasis, for building up a rhythm, and really driving home an idea or a feeling. Just look at this famous example. The first time the line, "and miles to go before I sleep," is said, it's just a statement. But the second time, whoa, it gets heavier. It sounds tired, maybe even a little haunting. That simple act of repeating it completely transforms the meaning and just floods it with emotion. That's the power of this tool. Okay, so we've looked at the tools for sound. Now, let's reach back into the kit and grab a completely different set. These are the ones that writers use to paint vivid pictures and create experiences right inside your head. First up is the simile. This thing is an absolute workhorse of descriptive language. It's a straight-up comparison. And the key, the thing you always look for, is that it almost always uses the words like or as to bridge the gap between two different things. You know these ones, right? As cool as a cucumber, or acting like a child. The writer doesn't have to spend a paragraph explaining what they mean. The comparison does all the heavy lifting in an instant. It's a fantastic shortcut to a really vivid mental image.
So here's the crucial difference. If a simile is like taking a quick snapshot, imagery is like shooting a whole movie. It's about building an entire world by tapping into all five senses: sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch to pull the reader right into the scene.
Let's see how this works, starting with sight. The phrase, "It was dark and cloudy in the woods." It's simple, but boom, you instantly have a picture. Your mind starts to fill in the details, right? You can almost feel the light start to fade. Okay, now let's add a soundtrack to our scene. The boys were screaming and shouting. All of a sudden, that quiet picture isn't quiet anymore. It's alive, it's got energy and noise. The world we're imagining just got a lot more real. And this is what's so cool. It's not just sight and sound. Imagery can even appeal to taste, like the sauce was sweet and sour. This really shows you the full power of this tool. It isn't just for describing landscapes, it's for creating a full sensory experience that makes you feel what's happening. All right, let's grab another tool. Now this one's a little more advanced. It doesn't just mess with sounds or sights. It loves to play with our expectations and with the very meaning of words themselves. And that tool is irony. It's all about the gap between what you say and what you actually mean. You know, like standing in the middle of a hurricane and saying, "What lovely weather we're having." It's a really clever device that can add humor or some sharp criticism, all by playing with that contrast between words and reality.
So for our final tool, we're going to zoom all the way out. We've been looking at the individual nuts and bolts. Now let's look at the master plan, the blueprint that holds the whole sound of a poem together.
And that is the rhyme scheme. It's the architecture. By giving each new rhyme a letter, like A, B, A, B, we can actually map out the entire rhyming structure of a poem. It's the blueprint that tells all those individual rhymes we talked about earlier where to go. So there you go. In just a few minutes, we've unpacked a whole toolkit of poetic devices. We've got tools for sound, like rhyme and alliteration, tools for painting pictures, like simile and imagery, and even the blueprints, like rhyme scheme. These are the gears that make language really work. And that's really the big takeaway, isn't it? Now that you can see these tools, you're going to start noticing them everywhere, in music and ads, in great speeches. So the real question is, once you know how language is put together, what are you going to build with it?